Hello, welcome to the Sleepy Dream Library. Tonight, Benny has chosen 10 magical bedtime books to share with you. So snuggle beneath your blanket, get nice and cozy, close your eyes whenever you're ready. And let's begin. Benny's favorite blanket. Benny had many wonderful things inside the Sleepy Dream Library, but nothing made him happier than his favorite blanket. It was soft and golden, with tiny silver stars stitched into every corner. Each evening, he wrapped it around his shoulders before reading by the warm lantern. One quiet night, Benny couldn't find his blanket anywhere. He searched beside his blue chair, beneath the bookshelves, and near the glowing window. Then he noticed tiny silver threads leading toward a basket filled with storybooks. Curled inside the blanket was a sleepy baby bunny who had wandered in from the moonlit garden. The little bunny looked so peaceful that Benny simply smiled. Instead of taking his blanket back, he sat beside the basket and softly read a bedtime story until they both drifted to sleep beneath the same warm blanket. The Little Star That Stayed Awake. High above the world lived the tiniest star in the night sky. His name was Pip, and every evening he loved watching the world grow quiet. One night, Pip noticed a little cottage where a child's bedroom light was still glowing. The child couldn't fall asleep, so Pip twinkled softly, not too bright, just enough to be noticed. The child looked out the window and smiled at the tiny star. With every gentle twinkle, their eyes grew a little heavier. Soon, the bedroom became quiet. The blanket was pulled up snugly and sleepy dreams began to arrive. Only then did Pip yawn his own tiny, starry yawn. He tucked himself beside the moon and happily fell asleep, knowing one small light can make the night feel safe. The empty reading chair. Near the tallest bookshelf stood a little green reading chair that always seemed empty. Each evening, Benny placed a different bedtime book on the chair before going to sleep. Every morning, the book had been opened to its very last page. Curious, Benny stayed awake one night. As moonlight filled the library, the chair began to glow with a soft golden light. The pages slowly turned by themselves, as if someone invisible were reading every word. Benny realized the chair wasn't empty after all. It belonged to the shy little bedtime stories that only came out after everyone else had fallen asleep. From that night forward, Benny always left one special book waiting there before bedtime. The Little Bunny Who Counted Stars. Every night, a little bunny named Milo climbed to the top of a grassy hill carrying his tiny notebook and a little blue blanket. His very important job was counting stars. 1, 2, 3. He counted until his eyes became sleepy. One evening, he noticed something wonderful. Every time he whispered another number, one tiny star twinkled back at him. It almost seemed like the little star was counting too. Milo smiled. He was no longer counting alone. Before he reached the biggest number he'd ever counted, his pencil slipped from his paw, his notebook rested on the grass, and he peacefully fell asleep beneath the smiling little star. Hedgehog's cozy blanket. Deep beneath an old oak tree lived Hazel the hedgehog. Every evening, she wrapped herself inside a beautiful patchwork blanket made from soft pieces of moonlight cloth. One chilly night, a tiny field mouse knocked at her door, shivering from the cold. Without hesitation, Hazel carefully snipped one little square from her blanket and wrapped it around the mouse. The next evening, she shared another piece with a baby squirrel, then another with a little bird. Soon her blanket had become much smaller. A few nights later, all of her woodland friends returned carrying tiny pieces of colourful fabric. Together they stitched a brand new blanket that was bigger, softer, and warmer than before. Hazel smiled as she curled beneath it. She discovered that the warmest blankets are the ones stitched together with kindness. Benny gently closed the fifth little book and smiled. Farther down the moonlit shelf, another magical story was quietly waiting to be discovered. Benny reached for the next little book. Its cover was midnight blue with a tiny silver owl resting beneath the moon. He opened it gently. Oliver the sleepy owl, high in the tallest tree beside the Sleepy Dream Library, lived a little owl named Oliver. Unlike the other owls, Oliver didn't enjoy flying all night. As soon as the moon climbed into the sky, his eyes became heavy with sleep. So instead of soaring through the forest, Oliver perched quietly on his favorite branch and simply listened. He heard the pages of bedtime books turning inside the library. He heard flowers gently closing their petals. He heard crickets singing tiny lullabies beneath the grass. Every night, before closing his eyes, Oliver gave one soft little hoot. Hoo. It was his way of telling the whole forest, everything is peaceful, it's time to rest. Then Oliver tucked his head beneath his wing and drifted into the sweetest dreams. The sleepy clock. Inside the Sleepy Dream Library stood an old wooden clock. It did not count minutes. It did not count hours. Instead, it counted sleepy moments. When Benny opened his bedtime book, the little clock whispered, "Almost bedtime." When the lanterns began to dim, it whispered, "Almost dreaming." And when the moonlight filled the library, it gave one tiny chime. Ding. That was the clock's gentle way of saying, "Everyone may rest now." Even the old clock became sleepy. Its pendulum slowed, tick-tock, tick-tock, until the whole library seemed to breathe together in peaceful silence. The tiny candle that glowed all night. Beside Benny's reading chair stood the smallest candle in the library. Its warm little flame never flickered too brightly. It simply glowed softly while bedtime stories were read. The candle sometimes wondered if its light would disappear one day. But each evening, children smiled, little mice curled up nearby, and gentle moths rested beside its glow. The more kindness the candle shared, the warmer it became. Soon, tiny golden sparkles floated from its flame into the books, blankets, and dreams of everyone nearby. The candle discovered something wonderful. A gentle light never grows smaller when it is shared. It only fills more hearts with warmth. Where dreams begin, far beyond the tallest bookshelf, was a tiny round door called the Dream Door. It opened only after the whole library became quiet. Beyond the door floated thousands of tiny glowing dream seeds. Some held adventures through moonlit forests. Some carried peaceful ocean waves. Some were filled with butterflies, clouds, flowers, and stars. One by one, each little dream floated gently into the night, searching for a sleepy child waiting to dream. Benny smiled as he watched them drift across the sky. Every dream knew exactly where it belonged, and somewhere, one tiny dream was already floating toward you. The cottage. Beneath the moon, at the edge of a quiet forest stood a tiny cottage with warm golden windows. No one ever saw who lived inside, but every woodland creature knew they were always welcome. A tired bunny found a soft blanket waiting by the door. A little bird discovered a warm place to dry its feathers after the rain. Even shy deer rested peacefully beneath the glowing porch light. The cottage appeared wherever kindness was needed most. Every evening, as the moon rose into the sky, its windows glowed softly between the trees. and every sleepy traveller knew they were safe. Benny gently closed the final little book. The lanterns inside the Sleepy Dream Library were growing dim. Outside, the stars shimmered quietly above the peaceful world. Benny wrapped his favourite blanket around his shoulders, climbed into his cozy blue reading chair, and looked out at the moon, somewhere beyond the shelves. Another magical bedtime story was already waiting for tomorrow night. Until then, sleep well, little dreamer. May your dreams be filled with gentle stars, cozy blankets, peaceful forests, and warm little lanterns. We'll be waiting for you here the next time you visit the Sleepy Dream Library. Good night.